Hey everybody, this is Ryan McClanahan with historythroughcards.com. I hope you're all doing very well today. So in this video, I want to break down the 1981 tennis magazine set. There aren't really too many sets that are devoted strictly to tennis or say golf or anything other than baseball, football, basketball, or hockey. So let's get into this set, shall we? This is from the Town Talk, Alexandria, Louisiana, December 31st, 1981. John McEnroe passes Borg in Tennis Magazine rankings. Norwalk, Connecticut. John McEnroe, runner-up to Bjorn Borg in the National Professional Tennis Rankings the past 2 years, Tuesday, was named the number one player in the world for the 1981 season by Tennis Magazine. Chris Evert-Lloyd was named the number one women's player for the 8th time in the last 9 years. The rankings, determined by an international panel, were as follows. Men, number 1, McEnroe, number 2, Borg, 3, Jimmy Connors, and Ivan Lendl, 5. Jose Luis Clerc, 6. Geronimo Velas, 7. Jane Mayer, 8. Roscoe Tanner and Elliot Teichler, 10. Peter McNamara. Women, Everett Lloyd, 2. Tracy Austin, 3. Martina Navratilova, 4. Hannah Mandikilova. No, that's not right. What? I'm horrible with names. Let's try that again. Hannah Mandikova, 5. Andrea Jaeger, 6. Pam Shriver, 7. Sylvia Hanika, 8. Virginia Ruszewski, 9. Wendy Turnbull, 10. Mema Jasovec. In addition to its top 10, the editors of Tennis Magazine also ranked the pros by the surface on which they compete: grass, indoor, clay, and hard court. McEnroe leads 3 of the 4 men's categories, but is not among the 5 men rated best on clay. Lloyd is rated best among the women on grass and clay and 3rd best on indoor and hard court surfaces. Borg is ranked the best on clay among the men. Navratilova, the best indoor player on women's circuit, and Austin, the best hard court player among the women. So that gives us a really clear picture of why these players are actually on these cards to begin with, and I think that's really interesting. It corresponds exactly to the cards themselves. And so, as you guys can see here, this is a really interesting set, and I personally like the design because it is simple, and I'm not really into like the glitz and the glamour of these modern cards. I'm a very low-key guy, so I kind of prefer my cards to be low-key, if you will. It's probably why I'm a vintage collector as well. And now these are vintage, and so I do also like the Tennis Magazine logo. And Tennis Magazine, I believe it was started in Chicago in 1965, and I think it took a while for it to become a really great magazine. I don't really come across these magazines. I really would love to read a few of these, especially the magazine in which these cards came out of, which is the August 1981 issue, as you guys can see here. And so, the photography on these cards is absolutely spot on, top notch. It's really fantastic. And, again, some of the tennis players represented are in the Hall of Fame, and they're some of the greatest tennis players of the era. And Jimmy Connors goes back, I believe, to like the 1960s. And Bjorn Borg here, he had a really famous match between him and John McEnroe. And I remember John McEnroe flipping out all the time. But his cards, he doesn't really have a whole lot of cards. So I think this is maybe one of the earliest cards that he has, and especially Ivan Lendl. As I said before, it's really difficult to nail down an exact rookie card for some of these tennis players. But Martina Navratilova, that seems like a really expensive card to me. In fact, a lot of these cards are pretty expensive, so you might want to take that in consideration if you want to purchase any of these cards or the set. And again, I've never seen a full set of these cards. I've never actually seen any of these cards in person. The first one I saw in person was Ivan Lendl, and I purchased that off eBay for $60. I was taking a huge chance just because I've never seen one, and seeing a card in hand is a lot different than seeing it online. There's a lot of things you can miss about a card online. And so these things are just paper thin, and you can damage them very easily. So I think you might want to keep that in mind when you're looking at these. The other thing too is the grading companies won't grade them. They just won't do it. Maybe in the future, but as you guys can see here, this card is not graded. They won't do it. I'm gonna leave it in this case right here, and it's not going anywhere. Maybe in the future they will. Ivan Lendl, he is in the Hall of Fame. This probably is his rookie. It's definitely one of his earliest cards. I think he may have started going pro in like 1980 or so. So this could be his rookie. I just don't know. Again, Martina Navratilova, one of the greatest women's tennis players of all time. Some of the records that these people have are just incredible. This is a little bit before my time too. I was a very, very young kid in 1981, and I wouldn't know a tennis racket from a baseball bat back in 1981. I could barely tie my shoes back then. I don't think I could. Anyway, Chris Everett Lloyd, she later on became the editor of Tennis Magazine, and I'm not entirely sure if Tennis Magazine is still around. I would love to find some back issues and read these things. But she's also quite expensive. Borjan Borg is quite expensive as well. The match between Borg and John McEnroe, I'd love to see. I know they made a movie about it. I have yet to see that movie. But yeah, they definitely match what was in that article. It's really just great to see these. Now, if you are going to collect them, just be very careful because again, they can get damaged really quickly, and they were meant to be cut out from the magazine itself. So the dimensions are going to be a little bit different than a regular baseball card dimensions from the 1980s. These do not fit modern dimensions of a baseball card. And so that could be one of the reasons why SGC didn't want to grade them. It could be maybe a handful of reasons why. They didn't really tell me. I really didn't come across any information on this set and the dimensions either. I couldn't find anything. And in fact, when I first started trying to do research on this set, there really wasn't anything out there, and nobody could tell me anything. So I was kind of like on my own trying to research this. And there's a little bit more research to do, I think. I couldn't find the distribution for the magazine itself. Maybe that's out there. So I don't know how many magazines were bought and sold for August of 1981, and don't think that Tennis Magazine is around anymore. I think they stopped in 2012. I'm trying to give you a little bit of information with this, and you guys can do some research on your own, which would be great. You should always do research on your own. Don't take anybody's word for it. Um, I think you'd be best off to write notes and take photos when you go to card shows, because you never know what you're going to see at a card show. Or in this case, like I had never come across this set prior to this year, in fact, and I had bought this card just on a lark because I was curious about it, and they're very thin, so again, they can be damaged real easily. But you have one, two, three, four, five, 6 Hall of Famers of the 9 cards issued. So, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it as always. Let me know what you think of the tennis players in this set and the set itself. The backs are really interesting. There's a lot of information on them. It doesn't say that it's from Tennis Magazine, except for the fact that the logo tennis matches exactly with the magazine itself, which is how we know it's a Tennis Magazine. But information today can be lost easily tomorrow if it's not kept up to date, and if people who have the information either pass away or they write stuff down and it gets lost over time. So that's the one thing I remember most about being a kid in the 1980s and trying to do research. Obviously, research is a little bit different now because of the internet, but as they say, things on the internet, they don't go away. Well, that's not actually true. Information can disappear, or it just won't trickle down to other generations. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I always appreciate it. And again, let me know what you think of the players and the set. And until the next time, I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye.